All right, Bears fans, no intro, no none of that. It's breaking news. We're just getting right to it. The Chicago Bears have finalized the purchase of Arlington Park. Now, the team has already released a statement and what this means, but one of the key things to point out in this is they said they took another step in realizing the vision of by closing on the Arlington Park property. But does not mean that the stadium agreements and things still have to be. So they still have to do. There's still a lot of work to be done before they actually start building the new stadium. So there's still going to be a nice amount of time before the Bears, if they do move from Soldier Field, which is all but certain right now. You know, the only person really denying that and trying to fight that fact is Mayor Lightfoot. But it's all so now that they have agreed to purchase, they finalized the purchase of it, purchasing the property for over $100 million. Now that that's finalized, the next step is to start developing the land, developing the stadium, and keep in mind, this is not just a stadium that they're building. A lot of times with stadiums, you can see new stadiums built in a year, year and a half, 2 years. Keep in mind that the Bears are still under lease with Soldier Field until the 2033 season. So keep that in mind, right? We still lease Soldier Field until 2033. Now, they can break the lease. They do have to pay the city of Chicago to break the lease, but with no clear timeline yet on when the Arlington Park development, if it even is developed, which it's all but certain that it's not going to be. I'm just using the if because legality, even though ain't nobody legally going to come after me for saying it. But with that being said, there's still quite a bit of steps that need to take place before the state-of-the-art stadium is built. And keep in mind, it's not just to be a stadium. They're building an entertainment district, meaning there's hotels, restaurants, the stadium, which is the epicenter of all of that, but event centers. There are going to be a lot of things built around this development at Arlington Park. So because of that, it's even more intricate than just building a stadium would be at any time. So you're going to still hear a lot of updates. We're still looking, I would say at the very least, we're looking at probably 5 years, and that's at that's shortchanging it a lot. We have a considerable amount of time before this stadium and center is built. Now, there's a world in which they could get to the stadium as quick as possible and then start developing things around it so they can just get that stadium if they're looking to kind of break that lease early. But it's really no incentive to them to break the lease or try to force breaking that lease too early. I think they're still going to break it early. I don't see any way that it's 10 years until we are talking about the Bears moving into Arlington Park and the new development there. But it's going to be some years, a handful of years, if not more, until that's done. And in that time, they're gonna, do their due diligence, work with partners, they already have some 3D modeling of what that construction should look like, but now they're going to get into the nitty gritty of that. So it's going to be a while. The city of Chicago with Mayor Lightfoot has already, talked about it and says this. There's still, give me 1 second. Let me go down to the correct quote because there's a lot of quotes in this. Mayor Lightfoot has said, "We have an even better opportunity to continue making the business case as to why the Bears should remain in Chicago and why adaptations to Soldier Field can meet and exceed all of the Bears' future needs. There's simply no doubt that the economic benefits for the team of staying in the reimagined Soldier Field significantly outweigh those gained in a move to the suburbs." Here's the thing with that. I don't agree with that because keep in mind, the Bears don't own Soldier Field. That is kind of why they're in this situation. To begin with, they want to get a bigger change. And when you're building an entertainment center, what does that bring? That would bring the Super Bowl to the Chicago Bears. And again, that is something that they would own that stadium rather than, splitting it with the city of Chicago. Again, the hotels that they're going to build around it, the entertainment district that are going to be around it, the restaurants that they're going to build around it, they're going to own all that land. So while there may be restaurants that even lease or maybe buy buildings on that land, the Bears are going to get the benefit of owning the land outright. The economic part of it, there is no economic part of it, at least to me, in the long term, that makes sense for the Bears to stay in Soldier Field. Like, yes, it sucks to say Soldier Field is one of the sanctuaries that I consider for myself, but when you look at it, yes, there are some short-term economic goals that the Bears could, or benefits of the Bears could look at in staying in at Soldier Field, which they're going to get the benefit of that through the lease that they have already. But in the long term, we're talking about years, decades, multiple decades. We're talking about 30, 40 years and more than that, really. When you look at like the businesses and everything that they could come into that area, it just doesn't make economic sense for the Bears to not develop the stadium in Arlington Park. So, I know that there's some people still holding out hope, and there is a sliver of that, right? Maybe Lightfoot is able to come up with something that just nobody really perceives right now, but all signs point to the Bears are going to be moving to Arlington Heights at some point in the relatively near future, right? Again, it's not going to be 2, it's not going to be 3, it's not going to be 4. We're looking at 5+ years until that happens, but it's coming. We need to start adjusting to it because the Chicago Bears, for all intents and purposes, are moving. And we just need to be prepared for it. Let me know what you guys think on everything down below. You can follow us at Bull Central Pod. I'm sorry, wrong podcast. You can follow us at Shy Bear Central on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to sound off on this on our mailbag episode on Friday, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. It's been a long day, y'all, and I still got 3 episodes to do for Chicago Bull Central. I love you guys. Bear down, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.